Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on the screen. Oi. Guys, please check it. All of you get my voice on the screen. Please confirm to me. Those are attending in online. Guys, please check it. All of you get my voice on the screen. Those are attending in online. Is my voice is clear to all of you? Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on the screen. Yeah, thank you. All right. Good morning, guys. Right, and I think everything is okay, right? Mic, everything right? Fine. Today, just I'm planning for small workshop on constructors. The topic is in Java, Java related constructors. Of course, constructors topic is available in so many programming languages. If you take like C++, maybe if you take like Java, if you take like Python, if you take like so many programming languages, constructors topic is available. But in Java, how constructors are available, in which way we are using constructors, that everything here we have to understand. What exactly the meaning of constructor, at least the basic awareness on constructors here I'm going to provide. So it may take nearly 1.5 hours to 2 hours of time. On a single attempt, we are going to complete this content. Maximum this weekend, this now I'm going to complete these constructors. Then after next weekend also, we are planning for some other topic as per your interest. If all of you are coming, then definitely I will take one separate session. I'm thinking about it in the next Sunday. I'm planning for static keyword. Is also one of the important topic in CoreJava especially. And before that, I would like to ask to you, to all of you are aware about Java, at least basics. Basics, what is Java, what is a class, at least the basics if you know, then my job will be very simple. Even if you are not having awareness on it, just sit and see what I'm going to talk. That's it. No need to think too much about it. Maximum we are going to understand. At least terminology we can observe. If you are not aware about Java, don't worry and look at my face and see my face maximum. That's sufficient. Okay, good. All right, now coming to the constructors topic, coming to the content, I'm going to give just 9 points on a single attempt. I want to check your knowledge. How many of you are going to remember? How many of you are going to remember that 9 points? Then after completing all these 9 points, I'll ask you, then you have to repeat that 9 points. Are you ready for that? Just I'll give 9 statements. Simple 9 statements I'll give. Then you have to remember one by one. After that, I'll ask you how many of you are ready to give that 9 statements. Then you should be ready for that. Ready? Right. Those who are in online also ready? Yes, good. Slowly, I'm going to deliver the points. Try to digest that points. So a lot of concept is available. After that, after completing these 9 points, I will elaborate each and every one clear. Let's check this one. First one. Point number 1. Constructor is a Java feature. It can be used to create objects. I'll not repeat it. Only one shot. Point number 2. The role of the constructor in object creation process is to provide initial values inside the object. Fine. Point number 3. In Java applications, constructors will be executed exactly at the time of creating objects, not before creating objects, not after creating objects. Fine. In Java applications, constructors will be utilized to provide initializations to the class level variables. Next point. Constructor name must be same as the respective class name. Constructors are not having return types. Constructors are not allowing the access modifiers like static, final, and so on. Constructors are allowing the access modifiers like public and default. I think 9 points are completed. Right. Just I'm asking you, how many of you ready to repeat all these 9 points? Just raise your hands. One. So not as per my expectations. I am expecting minimum half of the members. Okay, only one. Right. Okay. For the sake of you, once again I'm repeating. This is the last time. But next you have to give all 9 points. Yes. Ready for that? In a slow manner, I will deliver one by one. Definitely. Later on I will explain each and every one perfectly. But I am checking how much you are remembering. That is your remembering power. I am trying to check. Okay. Ready for that? Once again, put more concentration. Try to listen each and every statement. Just try to understand the statement meaning. Don't by heart my as it is English. Okay. Again, I am repeating. Now put more concentration here. Point number 1. Constructor is a Java feature. It can be used to create objects. Point number 2. In Java applications, the main role of the constructors in object creation process is to provide initial values inside the object. Number 3. In Java applications, constructors will be executed exactly at the time of creating objects, not before creating objects, not after creating objects. Point number 4. In Java applications, constructors will be utilized to provide initializations to the class level variables. I'll show each and every point, don't worry. But you have to remember. Constructor name must be same as the respective class name, not any other name. Constructor name must be same as the respective class name, not any other name. Constructors are not allowing return types, not having return types. Constructors are not allowing the access modifiers like static, final, abstract, native, this kind of access modifiers, not allowing. Constructors are able to allow the access modifiers like public and default, not private and protected. Private and protected are also be not allowed for constructors. Constructors are able to allow the access modifiers only public and default. Of course, default keyword is not for scope. Default keyword is there in Java, that is for switch or somewhere else. But default scope is allowed for the constructors. Public scope is allowed for the constructors. Private scope and protected scopes are not allowed for the constructors. Right. Ready for it? How many of you ready for this? Please raise your hands one time. You're already right. 2 members. Still not up to the mark. What we have to do. Right, sir. Now, anyway, you have to repeat my points now. Just I'll go for I will explain. I'm trying to explain one by one. Then we have to give the information. At least you have to remember the points. I'm not asking to you to by heart that points, no, at least meaning we have to understand. Okay, right. What is that point number one? I said to you, very simple point, is very introduction point. Constructor is a which feature? Today class is Java, sir. Now we are discussing Java feature only. I think you are already aware about semester exams, right? Then first of all, whenever we are writing, write a short notes on protocol. Then immediately what you are saying? Protocol is a, and something else you are going to write, right? Similarly, constructor is what? Constructor is a Java feature. Fine. Then what we will do with that? It can be used to create the objects. That's fine. Java is an object-oriented programming language. Definitely in Java, objects we have to create. While creating objects, what we are using? Constructor. Finish. Point number one. Clear. Very simple. Next, I said to you, in this point, I said to you, it can be used to create the objects. Then immediately we are getting one doubt. What is its role in object creation? Immediately that question will come. What is this constructor's role in object creation? Immediately the point is what? While creating an object, definitely some data we have to store or not. At least default values we have to store or not. That initial values must be provided inside the object. For that we are using constructor. The role of the constructor in object creation is to provide initial values inside the object. Object is not any other one, sir. Object is a block of memory where some data we have to store. Watermelon fruit, you know, right? In watermelon fruit, what you are able to see? Some flesh and some seeds we can see. Red color flesh and black color seeds we see. Now, think about it. Watermelon is an object where seeds are data and flesh is data. That's it. Something is there inside the object. Similarly, inside the object, some data we have to store. So the data in the sense, some values, maybe 10 or maybe 20 or maybe ABC or something else, whatever it may be. Some data we have to store. So the data, if first time we are providing some data, that is called as initial data. To provide that initial data inside the object, what we are using? Constructor. So the role of the constructor in object creation is to provide initial values inside the object. That's okay. Okay. One point is what is its purpose. Second point is in object creation, what is its role? That we understood clearly. Fine. Next one is what after that, when it will be executed. Definitely in Java, something is available in the sense, definitely it has to be executed. As per the flow of execution, it has to be executed. But when it will be executed? When it will be executed? Exactly at the time of creating objects. Exactly at the time of creating objects only it will be executed. Not before creating object, not after creating object. Why? Because the constructors are providing initial data inside the object. Am I right or not? Providing initial data inside the object in the sense that could not be happened before creating object. If it is happened before creating object, where the data has to be stored. If it has happened after creating the object, it is not initial data. Understand my point here? So constructors must be executed exactly at the time of creating objects, not before creating objects, not after creating objects. Remember this part. Object creation is a process. Think of it. It is a 1 hour process. During that 1 hour process, initial values will be stored. It's part of the object creation only. Not after creating object, not before creating the object here. That's very clear. Nice. Next one. After that, what is the developer utilization of these constructors? How developers are going to utilize these constructors in Java applications? We already understood what is the purpose of constructor, what is the role of the constructor in object creation. That's okay. I have a program now. How I'm going to use these constructors? What is my utilization of constructors in my Java program? For that, what is the point I'm telling there? To initialize class level variables. Constructors are used to initialize which variables? No, class level variables. To initialize class level variables in Java programs, we need constructors. Yes, sir. Almost all 4 points I completed. Can you tell me what is the first point? No? Constructor is a Java feature. It can be used to create objects. Fine. In object creation process, what is the role of the constructor? To provide initial values inside the objects. Nice. When it will be executed? Exactly at the time of creating objects, not before creating object, not after creating object. Nice. What is the utilization of the constructor in Java programs now? To initialize which variables now? Class level variables. Programmatically, I will show how that initialization is going to be happen. Clear. So these 4 points are clear. Okay. Next points are very, very simple. Syntactical points. What is the next point I said to you? Constructor name. How we are going to write the constructor? So what is the name of the constructor? It doesn't have its own name. It must have same class name. In which class we are writing this constructor, we have to maintain the same name for class and as well as for what? No, constructor. Don't say constructor name is used by class. You have to say class name is used by constructor. Am I right or not? Which one is bigger and which one is smaller? Class is bigger. Inside this class we are writing constructor. Think of it. So constructor name must be same as class name. Your direction must be very, very important. Don't say class name must be same as constructor name. Understand my point here? So constructor name must be same as what? No, class name. That means you have to give importance for class, and we have to say something lower than class about this constructor. Okay, fine. That is one point. Then after that, in general, construct is almost the same as method syntactically, but method is having return type. Construct is not having return type. Constructor doesn't have return type. Leave it. Then after that, access modifiers are available in Java. Static, final, abstract, native, volatile, something else are available. But all these things are not allowed by constructor. Constructors are not allowing what? No, static. I will give some reasons actually later on, but time being understand it. No, the access modifiers like static, final, abstract, and so on. These are not allowed by constructor. But some access modifiers are available. I think some of you might be thought about it. Access specifiers. For your kind of information, no concept like access specifiers in Java. Public, protected, default, private, you may think they are access specifiers, but their word, that name is not access specifiers. That name is what? Access modifiers only. Another type of access modifiers. Out of these four, that means scopes, so simply speaking scope. Out of these four scopes now, which scopes are allowed by constructors? Public and default. Public and default. That's it, guys. Now these are the 9 points what I said to you clear. Is the points are clear or not? The points are clear or not? So will you conclude one time all the points now? At a time, all the points. Can you tell me point number 1? Construct is a Java feature. It can be used to create the objects. Fine, very good. Second point number 1. In object creation process, the role of the constructor is to provide initial values inside the objects. Fine. Next point number 3. At what time they are executing? Constructors are executed exactly at the time of creating objects, not before creating object, not after creating object. In Java applications, how we are going to utilize these constructors? To provide initializations to the class level variables. That's fine. Next one is what? After that, name of the constructor must be same as the class name. That's very good. Next one, return types. What about the return types? No, allowed or not allowed? Not allowed. Return types are not allowed inside the constructors. Then after that, access modifiers now. Which access modifiers are not allowed by constructors? Static, final, and so on and so on. These access modifiers. But which access modifiers are allowed by constructors? Public and default. At a scope related, which access modifiers are not allowed by constructors? Public, scope related access modifiers I'm talking now. Public, protected, default, private, or scope related. 4. Out of these 4, public and default are allowed by constructors. Private and protected are not allowed by constructors. I hope you understood these points clearly. Okay, fine. These are the basic fundamental points only. Here we have to understand clearly. Good. Only 8 points, no? Only 8 points. Anything else is missing? Okay, no issues. These are the maximum points. Then if any point is recollected, then I will give information to you. Don't worry for that. Maximum, this is the information. As part of the introduction of the constructors, the other points come. That's okay, fine. Now, after completion of this constructors, that basic awareness, what exactly the syntax of the constructor? What exactly the syntax of the constructors that we have to understand clearly? What is the syntax of the constructors? Right. Constructor syntax, if you observe this one, Constructors syntax, if you observe now, it's very simple. The syntax is very simple to understand. First one is access modifiers. Access modifier in the sense, what is that access modifier? Either a public or a default. That's it. Other access modifiers are not allowed. Leave it. Then after that, space. Then what next one here? No, class name. What we have to provide there? Class name. That's okay, nice. Then after that, parameter list. Parameter list. Parenthesis. Now inside this, here we have to provide like what? No, parameter list. That's okay. Curly braces. Curly braces. Here we have to provide. And some content, whatever the data we are going to provide, we can provide. That's okay. Initializations for the variables or something you want to execute while creating object, that thing we can provide inside the constructors. That's okay, fine. Anything here we can provide. So this is exactly the meaning of like what? No, syntax of the constructor. Answer my point clear? Okay, fine. Let me check one simple program on this. Let me check one simple program on this. Then after that, we are going to continue our discussion here. The simple, I don't want to use any other IDEs and editors. No, just I want to use only edit plus. Simple edit plus here I want to use for our understanding, better understanding purpose, and I will show some proofs also. Actually, I used to go for Eclipse and IntelliJ IDEA in my classes actually. But no, for this constructors topic, not required to go for that IDEs. The simple editor I'm going to use, that is edit plus. That's sufficient, max sufficient. Let's see. Let me take one Java file. Visible to all of you? Or can I increase font? Okay. Right. Right, sir. Now, observe this clearly. I want to take a class. Any class you can take. Say, for example, I want to take the class like what now? Employee. Class what? Employee. Employee class I have taken. That's okay, good. Then inside this, I'm going to take a constructor. As much as simple syntax I want to follow now. Now tell me what is the syntax here we have to write? Public and or default. If I want to declare my constructor as public, no, I can use public keyword. I can use public keyword to declare constructor as a public. But I'm thinking I want to use default scope for my constructor. If I want to use default scope for my constructor, is it necessary to use, is it required to use any keyword? For a default, can I go for any specific keyword? Can I use default keyword for scope? No. If you are not specifying any access modifier for the constructor, by default, that constructor will have default scope. In Java, if you want to provide default scope, the simple rule is what? Don't use any access modifier. Don't use public, don't use private, don't use protected. If you're not using either of these three, if you're not using all of these three, automatically the constructor will have which scope? No, default scope only. To specify default scope, default keyword is not required. Default keyword is available in Java. That is for some other purpose, not for the sake of the scope. All of you are following or not? Okay, fine. Next one, constructor name must be same as the class name or not? So definitely here I have to use like what? No, employee class name. Parenthesis I'm using. Of course, whether I'm going to provide parameters or not, that is later on issue. Later on I will give when we have to use parameters, when we are not going to use parameters, that we will discuss later. But as of now, at present, here we have to use class name and a parenthesis. Okay, then after that curly braces here we have to provide or not? Curly brace here we have to provide. Okay, fine. Now just I want to give some intimation. Now constructor is executing that information I want to provide. So for the purpose, what I want to know, I think you are already aware about this statement, right? What is this statement actually? System.out.println. For what purpose you are using this statement now? To display something on console, to display something on command prompt, we are using like what? No, system.out.println. Here also be a lot of storage available. What is system? What is this out and what is this println? How it is working internally? That we will understand in IOSIM's topic actually, not here. Fine. Now here, what we are able to do now? Just I want to write something. What I want to do now? Employee class constructor. Something else I want to write it. That is for the sake of our awareness purpose. Okay, this part is executing now. By seeing this output on console now, we are thinking this part is executing. That is a confirmation for us. For that purpose only I have written that constructor. That's okay, fine. Next one is what? After completion of this class test. This test class is the main class. Now tell me here, how many classes I have written, sir? How many classes I have written? Two classes I have written. What are the two classes now? Employee and a test class. Out of these two classes, which class is main class now? Tell me. Think and give answer. Which class is main class now? Test class is the main class. Why? Exactly. Main method is available inside this test class only. Employee class is what? Supportive class. Supporting class. Just for the requirement only we have written that. But if you want to write any Java program, minimum we required main class, main method. This is mandatory. After that, whatever the classes we have written, that is for the sake of your business. But mandatory thing is what? One main class, main method is a minimum. The remaining classes are as per our requirement only we have written the classes. They are not the main classes, they are supporting classes only. But this is what now? Main class. Okay, fine. Now, inside this main class here, what we have to do, inside this main class, I need to create object. Now tell me, at what time constructors are executing? At what time constructors are executing? At the time of creating object or not? So, in main class and main method, JVM will come to main method. JVM will execute main method content only directly. So, inside this main method, I have to create object for employee class or not? You know already constructors are executing at the time of creating object, so I have to create object inside the main method or not? When JVM comes to this object creation statement, then only JVM will execute what? Constructor. So now let me create object for employee. Right, perfect. Employee E is equal to E is mandatory, no? E is a user defined variable, not a predefined variable. Anything we can use, either E or EMP or whatever it may be, as per your comfortableness. Anything here we can use. So, okay, fine. As per your says EMP, employee EMP. Here, what I'm telling there, actually, the standardization is what? Whenever we are declaring variable, instead of using shortcuts names, no, better to use the entire name. In general, what is a suggestible thing? Not mandatory, but suggestible thing is what? Instead of saying E and EMP, simply you have to use employee. That's one of the suggestional. It's not mandatory. Think about it. Why? Because it's very clear. It reflects its meaning exactly. Whenever you're using this kind of names. Anyway, that's of course. Now we are in testing mode only. So just I want to use shortcut name EMP. That's okay, fine. Employee EMP is equal to new employee. What is this actually? Constructor call. New employee parenthesis, in the sense constructor call, just like it is a method. Think it is an example. Think it is like method. If you think it is a method, but this is what? No, method call. If you think this is a method, this is what? No, method call. Similarly, if you think it is a constructor, but it is what? No, constructor call. Remember this point here. Okay, now in object creation process we are calling constructor or not? Come on, in object creation, this entire statement is object creation statement. Inside this object creation statement, we are calling constructor or not? Part of the syntax you are calling constructor or not? And now tell me, constructors are executing at what time? As part of the object creation statement or not? So constructors are executing as part of object creation or not? That's the point here what I'm telling you. That's okay, fine, good. So this is a statement, sir. Okay, if I execute this program, first JVM will come to main method, JVM will execute the statement, then it is trying to create object. While creating object, it will execute what? Constructor. So by that, what is that output here we are able to get now? Employee class constructor output here we are getting. That's it. That's the point here we can understand. Is that point is clear or not? Okay, fine. Now, this statement is providing like what? No, entire object creation process. Now here I'm asking one more question to all of you guys. Now tell me, in this statement, what is object? What is object? Once again, what is object? EMP variable, right? EMP is acting as what? Object. Wrong statement. It is not wrong. It is a wrong statement. It is not right. I'll give clarity on it. Now try to understand it. This is the frequent people are having a confusion about this point. What is the point I'm telling now? Object is a memory block. Object is what? Memory block where some data will be stored. It is not a variable. Object is a block of memory. That is the meaning of object, where data will be stored about an entity. That's okay. Okay. But what is this EMP actually? EMP is a variable. That variable is referring an object. EMP is a variable which refers an object. Object is still what? Block of memory. Object is what? Still a block of memory. But EMP is what? EMP is a variable which refers this an object. Answer my point here. So EMP is what now? EMP is a variable or not? It's not object. It's a variable which refers an object, which is referring an object. It means that this EMP variable is called as a reference variable. This EMP is what now? A reference variable. Don't say it's an object. It's a reference variable. What it is doing? What it is doing? It is referring an object. Object is what? Block of memory where data will be stored. Okay, good. Now I'm asking still here, what is an object? No, we cannot say any something as an object here. We cannot say something is an object here. Why? Because object is not available here. By using this statement, object is created. That I agree. But what is object inside the statement? In the sense, don't say anything. Don't say anything. No, nothing is available inside this statement. No, nothing is object. Object is available at memory only. But here EMP is referring an object, so it is called as a reference variable. Reference variable is a variable which refers an object. Object is a block of memory where data will be stored. So the point is what? This is statement. By the execution of this statement, object will be created inside the memory. By the execution of this statement, object will be created inside the memory. That's it. Okay, this variable is a reference variable which refers object. That's okay. But what is the use of this new keyword, sir? What is the requirement of this new keyword? Listen carefully. Listen carefully. Creating object in the memory, in the sense assigning a block of memory or not. After assigning a block of memory, some data has to be stored or not. To store some data, initial data, constructor here we are calling. That's okay. Who will call that constructor? Point number one. Then after that, whenever object is created, some identities must be required or not. Definitely some identities must be required or not. When object is created, internally at memory level, hash code will be created. Internally, which code will be created? Hash code will be created. On the base of the hash code at Java program, another identity will be created. That is reference value will be created. Two identities are created. At memory level, identity is what? Hash code. At Java program level, identity is what? No, reference value. So these must be created. Now tell me, who will create block of memory? How much memory is required? Who will calculate that size of the memory? And who will create memory? Who will store that initial data inside the object? And who will create identities for this object? Who will do all these things now? That everything could be done by new keyword. If you want to create some block of memory, first we have to calculate how much size is required. Who will calculate that size? Point number one. After identifying the size of the object, who will assign that block of memory? Then after that, who will call constructor to provide initial values? Then after that, who will assign that identities for this object? That everything could be done by whom? New keyword. New keyword, new, N-E-W, new is having two names. One is an operator, another one is what? Keyword. That operator, keyword, whatever it may be, its internal functionality. Its internal functionality is what? Creating object, providing initial values, providing identities, and getting that identities inside the Java program. That's it. New keyword will assign identity of that object inside the reference variable. Now tell me, inside this statement, inside this total statement, who is responsible to create object? Which keyword? New keyword. This total operation, object creation, total process done by which keyword? New keyword. New keyword is having the total operation of creating object. Not only creating object in the sense calculating memory, assigning block of memory, calling constructor to provide initial values inside the object, getting identities for the object, assign that identities to the reference variable. That everything could be done by whom? New keywords. For simple example, I'm telling there. Today you are coming for this class. Today you are coming for this class. To run this class, what I required? Classroom is required. Think of it. Where classroom is required? DURGASOFT classroom is required. Somebody else has to assign this classroom. After assigning this classroom, somebody else has to give some identity for this classroom. In outside might be some CoreJava classroom, something else, some identity is required. Then after that, when we come to institute, somebody else has to bring you to inside this classroom. They have to give directions to you to come inside the classroom. Okay. Then after that, they have to announce there is a workshop on this particular topic like this. Then who are doing all these things? Our front office people are doing or not? So they are the key persons or not? They have the functionality of conducting this particular class or not? Even myself is a trainer. I'm not taking all this responsibility. Just I'm taking the class. But that entire class environment and everything could be done by front office people or not? How much responsibility they are having to provide this particular class and to run this class successfully. Same responsibility is available for new keyword, to create object, to provide, to call constructors, to keep some data inside that object, and to get identities of that object, to assign that identities to the reference variable. So new keyword is having the total functionality of creating object and maintaining object or not. That is the importance of new keyword. At some other time, I will discuss that more in the diagrammatic manner. I will discuss what exactly the new keyword functionalities. The lot of story, nearly 1.5 hour class I need to take about this new keyword. In my regular batches, I need to take nearly one total session for new keyword only. How it is available, how that internal concepts are going on, everything we are going to understand clearly. That's okay, fine, leave it. Then after that, after completion of this particular one, so finally from this here, what we understood there, constructor we created, inside this constructor some intimation we provided. In main class and main method we created object. As part of object creation statement execution, automatically constructor will be executed. Okay, fine. Right, let me execute this. Now let me save this. Let's observe this and D drive. I have my own name. Then inside this name, inside this folder, I'm going to save this tested.java. Please remember this. I saved this Java file with which name? No problem. Whether it is existed already, I'm going to override it. No problem. Now here two classes are available. Why I'm saving that file with the tested.java only? Why I am saving that Java file with the tested.java only? Why not with employee.java? Whenever we are having multiple classes in a Java file, suggestion is what? Which class contains main method? Which class is a main class? With that name, it is suggestible to save that file. Of course, if you have public classes, no, you must save that Java file with the public class name only. Employee class is public, for example, we should not save with the test.java. You must save with the employee.java only. But whenever we are not having public classes in our Java file, then in that situation, we can save with any name. But instead of with any name, better to save with the main class name. So test.java, that's okay, fine. I need to compile this program or not? To compile this program, I have to open command prompt. Inside this command prompt, then what we have to do? We have to go for the location where we saved it. At which location I saved it now? D drive. Inside this D drive, then I have to go for like what? No, CD space. Then what next one here? With my name. Here I provided that. Do one thing. Change that speech. Change that speech. That plug. Plug. Plugs. Exchange. Right. Switch off. Right. Okay, fine. Right. Don't worry. Next onwards, actually, after starting these classes in offline, then rooms are not sufficient. Other rooms are available. Other workshops are going, and actually next week onwards we have some separate room there. There will conduct more classes. Don't worry. Yeah, good. Now leave it. Now we went to the location where I saved this test.java file. Now tell me, to compile my Java file, what command here I have to use? Java C space what? Not next one. What is this test node? Tester.java is what? Class name or file name? Class name or file name? File name. Along with the Java C, we have to provide file name. Understand? But not class name. With which name we saved our Java file? Same name we have to use. Of course, abc.java. The Java C space abc.java only. Even though your abc.java file contains classes, employee, student, or test, whatever it may be. But along with Java C command, we have to write what? File name, only file name. Click on enter button. If I have any error, their error message will come. Of course, my program doesn't have even a single error, that everything is okay, fine. And then after that, I have to execute my program. I execute my program. Java space what next one? No, tester. Now what we have to provide? Along with the Java command, along with the Java C file name, along with the Java main class name, we have to write. Please remember this. Most of the people are not aware about this point now. Along with the Java C file name, we have to write. Along with the Java command, we have to write what now? Main class name. Main class in the sense, the class which contains the main method. The class which contains main method, that class name we have to write. Along with which command? No, Java command. Java C file name, Java main class name. That we have to. Why? Because by providing Java space tester, we are saying to the JVM, Java command in the sense JVM only. We are saying to the JVM, in a tester class only my main method is available. In this class only my main method is available. So come to this main method and execute main method. But otherwise, 10 classes are available in a Java file. How JVM knows about our main class now? In which class we have written main method, how JVM knows about it? That information we have to say to the JVM. So a Java command in the sense what? JVM only. To the JVM we are saying in test class only main method is available. That's why class name here I am providing. Take this class name, go to the dot class file, where check for the main method. Main method is available. Then start execution. This is also internal concept. We have to understand it now. Let me execute it now. What we are getting information? What we are getting information? Now here we are getting like what now? Employee class constructor we are getting. Of course, one more point I am telling there. From Java 11 version onwards, no separate process for compilation. Java C is not required. Simply we can use Java space test.java. From which version onwards? Java 11 onwards. Java 11 onwards, Java space file name we can give. But actual convention is what? Java C file name, Java main method class name. That I'm following. Old convention only I'm following there. Leave it. Okay, fine. Then after that, my part is executed or not? All of you observe carefully. Previously, what I said to you, sir. At what time constructors are executed? At what time constructors are executed? Exactly at the time of creating an object or not? Okay. Now you can observe this clearly. System.out.println of before creating object I am writing. All of you observe carefully. System.out.println of after creating object. Now observe this clearly. Why I am writing this statement? Are you aware about it now? If I execute this program, what output I am able to get now? Tell me. First output is what? Employee class constructor. Next, before creating object. Next, that's what I am asking this question to you. No, wrong output. No. At least why I'm asking this question, we have to think about it. I am asking to you at what time constructors are executed. That's my question. Your answer is what? Exactly at the time of creating object. I said immediately, not before creating object, not after creating object. Now tell me what is the output now? Still people are saying employee class constructor. Now think and give answer. Okay, fine. I understood your problem there. First of all, how many classes are available here? 2 classes are available. Now tell me, first JVM will look for which class now? Main class. What is this main class here? Test class. So now tell me, JVM will come inside a test class or inside employee class as the first one? Test class. Now it will come to the test class. Inside test class, where it will come? Where it will come? Inside the test class, JVM will come to main method. That is a flow of execution I'm telling there. First, whenever, see, listen carefully. It's very simple. When we provide Java space test now, when we provide Java space test, first JVM will take this test class, search for test.class file. If it's available, test class bytecode will be loaded. After loading test class bytecode to the memory, JVM will go inside the test class. Now inside the test class, JVM will search for main method. Why? Because we are saying to the JVM, inside this class only main method is available. Because of that reason only we provided Java space tester. Why can't we provide Java space employee? Why you are not providing Java space employee and command prompt? In employee class, main method is not available, so it is useless. So we have to say to the JVM, inside this class only main method is available. That main class name we have to give along with the Java command. When we provide Java space tester, JVM will understand inside the test class only main method is available. So JVM will load test class bytecode to the memory. Then after JVM will come inside the test class, JVM will search for main method. Now JVM is searching for main method or not? Now main method is available or not available? Available. Inside the test class, JVM is available. Main method is available. When main method is available, JVM will call this main method. JVM will execute this main method. When JVM is executing main method in the sense, which instruction would be executed first? So first output is what? Before creating a object. Then after that, which statement is executing? Employee emp is equal to new employee. This statement is for what purpose? This statement is for what purpose? Creating object or not? Creating object or not? Here new keyword functionality will be executed. So it is creating object. While creating object, it will call what? Constructor it will call. As per this constructor call, this will be executed or not? What it is executed, what is output here we are getting? Employee class constructor, that's fine. Then after that, okay, object is created, constructor is executed, identities are available, identities are assigned to MP, that everything is okay, clear. Then after that, what next one? Says not outed bundle of after creating object. Now tell me, okay, finally program will be terminated when it comes to the ending point of the main method. JVM will be terminated, that everything is okay. Tell me finally what is that output now? Before creating object, employee class constructor, then what next one? After creating object. Okay, fine. I think almost all we are near to me. Now understand this clearly. Now I'm going to compile and execute this program again. Now Java C space tester.java compiled successfully. I made some modification. That's why we must perform compilation. Otherwise, our modifications will not be reflected. Then after that, Java space tester. All of you observe carefully. What is the output here we are getting? Before creating object, what next one? Employee class constructor. Then what next one? After creating object. Now tell me, at what time constructor has been executed here? At what time constructor is executing? At the time of creating object or before creating object? At the time of creating object, or not before creating object, not after creating object. Clear, very clear proof I provided. Constructors are executing at the time of creating objects only, not before creating object, not after creating object. That's the proof here we can understand. Leave it. Put more concentration. I'm going to show some points clearly. Right, sir. Okay, fine. The statements are okay. Understood clearly. At least I want to leave this total part here. Let's come for these points now. Proof is completed. That we understood now. All of you are following or not? My points are very much clear. But if you put your mind, easily we can understand. Okay, right. Now let's follow another point here. Previously I said one point here. Constructors will have the same name of the respective class. Followed or not followed? Followed or not? Same class name. Class name is what? Employee. My constructor name is what? Employee. Followed or not? I have a doubt. If I am using different name, what will happen? Understood my question now? We have a rule. Constructor name must be same as the respective class name. Good. I followed that. I executed a program. But my point is what? My analysis is what? If I use different name, what will happen? That internal analysis I required. Definitely we are able to get some error, no error, that's okay, different issue. But what happened internally? What is the JVM status and what is the compiler status? That what compile is thinking, what JVM is thinking, that point I required. Now let us check this one. Say for example, in place of this employee, I'm going to use something else like what? No, student. Something a student I have used. Constructor name, class name, both are not same. Rule is both are same, both must be same. But my point is not, if not, what will happen? That analysis is required. Okay, fine. What is your expectation now? I'm asking about your expectation, not confirmed thing. What you are thinking about this part? Error we are able to get. Yes. Error, no error. Error, no error. Fine. That's very nice. Now let's observe this clearly. At least something you have to say, sir. Whether it is right or wrong is secondary. But we have to open our mouth and we have to say something. What we are getting now? Check this now. Please read the error. Read the error. What you are getting? Invalid method declaration. What is expecting now? Sir, we are talking about constructors, but the compile is giving error related to method. What is this now? At least you are having question or not? Here we are getting error that I understood, but what error it is providing there? Invalid method declaration it is saying. Who declared that method actually? I have not declared method. I declared constructor only. Still I'm thinking, but it is giving related error related to method. What happened internally? Yes, exactly the point. You're right. Exactly the point is what? Whenever we change the name of the constructor, not following same class name, giving some other name to the constructor, immediately compiler, when we compile the program I'm talking, compiler immediately will think it is not the constructor. If it is not the constructor, what next possibility? The syntax is almost similar to what? Method. The syntax is almost similar to what? Method. If it is not class name, if it is not the class name, constructor is not same as a class name, immediately compiler will think it is a method syntax only. Directly compiler will think it is a method. When compiler thinks it is a method, then it has to check method syntax over this part or not. Then immediately compiler has to check method syntax over this particular written program or not. In methods, what is mandatory? Return type is mandatory or not? Return type is mandatory or not? But where is return type? No. Where is return type? If it is a method, return type is mandatory. But where is return type here? No return type is available. So it is invalid method declaration or not? It is invalid method declaration. What is expecting? Return type is expecting. That's why we are getting error like what now? Invalid method declaration. What is required? Return type is required. So definitely interviewer may ask this question to you. Constructor name must be same as the respective class name. Okay, I do understand that. But if I change the constructor name other than method name, if I provide some name other than class name, constructor name is not same as class name, I provided like that in my program, what will happen in our program? Immediately we have to say the answer is what now? Compilation error. What is that compilation error? You have to say invalid method declaration, return type required. Immediately interviewer will ask to you, you are talking about constructor, but why you are saying error about the method? Then there we have to clarify, when we change the name of the constructor, compiler will think it is not the constructor. Then the next possibility for compiler is it will think it is what now? Java method. In Java methods, return type is mandatory. If return type is not available, then it will raise this type of error. So here we are getting error like this only. Why? Because compiler will think this constructor is a method where return type is not available. So one point is clear or not? Why it is mandated to provide name, same class name for the constructors? Are you understanding this point or not? Okay, leave this particular concept here. That's okay, fine. Next one, after that, I want to be in original position or try to understand this clearly. Now, what I want to provide there, employee I provided. Please put concentration. Whatever the point just now I explained, that is input for the next point. Please remember this point here. Okay, fine. Now let me compile and execute this. Java C space test.java. Compiled successfully, Java space test. That's okay, good. Everything is okay, good. Leave it. Now, my next point is what? Constructors are having written types or not having written types? Not having written types, right? Constructors must not have written types, okay? But my question is, if I provide written type to the constructor, what will happen? Think and give answer. Don't give blind answers. In general, constructors are not having written types. That is original point. But my analysis is what? If I provide written type to the constructor, what will happen? I'm not going to provide any other written types, sir. Very simple written type, void. Method, class name and name both are same. Class name and that method name both are same. Is it possible? Overloading? No. Okay, I'll explain that. Don't worry for that. Yes, your answer is right. What you are thinking, that is absolutely right. What is the point I'm telling there? If we provide return type to the method, if we provide return type to the constructor, then immediately compiler will treat that provided constructor as a Java method. Of course, Java methods will have the same name of the respective class. Accepted, no problem. In case of methods, class name also we can use. Optional. Class name or other names, no problem. But in the case of constructors, mandatory to use class name. People may ask a question to you, sir, tell me the difference between method and a constructor. So many differences are available. One of the difference is what? Constructors must have the same class name, but methods may not have the same class name. Same class name we can use, or maybe other name also we can use. In the case of what? In the case of methods. But in the case of constructors, must, mandate, it is a condition, must use the same class name. That is one point. Methods we can call at any time. Methods will be executed any time as per our method call. But constructors will be executed exactly at the time of creating object that must be called along with the new keyword. So many differences are available that we will discuss later on. So many concepts are available. So anyway, if you provide data type, then what will happen? So now tell me, if I compile and execute this program, if I compile this program, will you get any compilation error? Come on, if I compile this program, will you get any compilation error? If the syntax is same as method syntax now, then where is the chance to get an error? No chances to get an error. Am I right or not? Java C space test.java. Are you getting any error? No error here we are getting. Okay. If I execute this program, what is the output here we are able to get? What is the output here we are able to get? Now see this program and give answer now. If I execute Java space test, what is the output we are getting? Sir, first of all, tell me in the entire program, what is the possibility to get output now? Employee class construct maybe sys.out.println we have written. That's why we are getting it now. But if you want to execute, if you want to display this, first we have to call this or not? First we have to. In general, in Java, when method is written, by default that method won't be executed. When we call method, then only method will be executed. You're all sitting here anonymously. Will you say something? Sir, myself is like that. When I asked you, then only we are saying something. Similarly, in the case of Java program also, when we write a method, we have to call it. Without having method call, that method won't be executed. Now this is not constructor. Now it is a method. So method require what? Method call is required. Have you called any method here? Did you call any method here? No. So if I execute this program, will this method is executed or not executed? Not executed. This method will not be executed. This method will not be executed. Now see, this no output will be generated. Why an output is generated? We are not calling that method. Why? Because now it is a method. It is not a constructor. If it is constructor, part of the object creation will be executed. But now it is not a constructor. It is what now? Method. That method must require method call. Then only method will be executed. Now see this one. Okay. For example, after creating this one, you may ask one question. Later I'll clarify this question. No. After that, if I call like this, now tell me, I call this is like as a constructor, as a method. Constructor will be called along with the new keyword only. Constructor call will be available along with the new keyword only. Now here, have I written any new keyword here in the statement? Have I written any new keyword in this statement? No, I have not written any new keyword here. So yeah, as like method or as like constructor I'm calling now. As like method only I'm calling this one. So whenever we are calling method, automatically this method will be executed or not? Now tell me, if I execute this program, what output will be generated? What output will be generated if I execute this? Asked is, sir, now here object will be created internally. You may ask this question, sir, what about this particular one? I will talk later on. Default constructor will be executed. I will talk later on. But by the execution of this one, object is created internally. Then after creating object, when sorry. EMP dot, sorry, right, exactly. Your thinking is right. Reference variable is required to call that method. EMP dot employee. This is I call this as like method only. So EMP dot employee, when I call like this, then only that method will be executed. Okay, fine. Now let me check this now. Now here let me go for this Java C space test.java. Java space, what I have to provide now? Test only. Now here we are getting like what now? Employee class constructor output here we are getting. Whatever the parameter we provide to println method, that will be displayed here. I have written employee class constructor as such, that was displayed here. Okay, fine. This is the analysis. But now tell me, what is the final conclusion here? What is the final conclusion, guys? Now tell me. Conclusion is what? Constructors are not having return types. But if I provide return type to the constructor, then what will happen? Automatically that constructor is becoming as method. Compiler will treat that as what? Method. When we call it, that will be executed. If you are not calling it, that will not be executed. Sir, all of you are following or not? Somewhat, as usual, regular concepts and somewhat internals also I'm talking there. So your patience level is very, very important now. Okay, fine. See, whenever we are getting boring, just give information to me. I'll give 5 minutes break. Otherwise, I'll continue the content as it is. I think so. You're understanding all these points. Right, fine, perfect. All right, sir. Okay, return type point here we understood. Now I want to be in original position. Read this one. Now I saved it and I'm going to compile and execute this. Java C space test.java compiled successfully. Java space test. Here we are getting output as it is. Now it is a constructor. Tell me, sir, now it is a constructor Java method. Constructor, that's okay. Good. Then what next one can I set? Constructors are not allowing the access modifiers like static, final, and so on and so on. So this type of access modifiers. Okay, good. My question is, if I declare a constructor as a static, what will happen? Understood my point now? If I declare constructor as a static, what will happen? That's my question. Interview will ask there. Is it possible to declare a static constructor or not? Your answer must be what? No. Immediate interview will ask why. You have to say gunshot answer immediately. Okay, then immediately we have to say what? No. What we have to say? Let me compile it now. What will happen? You will understand it. Java C space test.java. Come on. What is this now? Modifier static not allowed here. It's very clear information. Compile has given straight information. Modifier static not allowed here. Why? Because it is a constructor syntax. So first interview will ask you, is it possible to declare static constructors or not? Your answer is what? No. Interview question is why? Your answer is what? Why? Error will come. Whenever you are saying error, what error will come? Interview will ask you. Your answer is what? Modifier static not allowed here. Immediate interview will ask you why static is not allowed. Public is different. Why static is not allowed? First answer for this. Constant is related to final keyword, not to relate to static keyword. Static is different, final is different. Yeah. Wait. I'll give clarity. Listen carefully. My question is what now? What is my question? Why static is not allowed to the constructor? If you want to understand this answer for this question, a little bit internal I have to talk. Listen carefully. All of you listen carefully. When I write Java space test on command prompt, what JVM is doing now? JVM will search for what? One class, main class or different class, whatever it may be. Whenever we want to execute something, first JVM has to identify the class name or not. Identifying class name in the sense internally it has to search for its dot class file. Every class must have a dot class file internally after compilation. So JVM will search for test dot class or not. JVM will search for test dot class. When JVM is searching for test dot class now, if it is identified, then immediately what JVM is doing? What JVM is doing? No. Directly it will not go for main method. First JVM will load test class bytecode to the memory, RAM memory. Are getting my point or not? Main memory. JVM heap memory is a different method area, of course. Anyway, RAM memory, understand it up to that. JVM will load test class bytecode. When we compile the Java class, bytecode will be generated or not? Dot class file contains bytecode. JVM will load test class bytecode to the memory. So that phase is called as a loading phase. What is this phase now? Loading phase. Loading phase. After loading the test class, then JVM will execute the test class. If you want to execute a class now, two phases are available. One is loading, then execution. Loading, execution, anything. First class bytecode must be loaded, then required method or required constructor will be executed. So first loading has to be performed or not? Okay. Similarly, listen carefully. When JVM encounter this intersection, JVM has to execute constructor or not? Has to execute constructor or not? But if you want to execute constructor, first its bytecode must be loaded or not? First employee class bytecode must be loaded or not? After loading employee class bytecode only, JVM has to execute constructor. Am I right or not? So here loading phase is available and execution phase is available. Two phases are available. Am I right or not? Am I right or not? Now tell me, if anything is declared as a static, no, static variable, for example, if anything is declared as static, no, that will be recognized, that will be recognized and of course executed at the time of loading the respective class bytecode only. If anything is declared as a static, no, that will be recognized and executed at the time of loading the respective class bytecode to the memory. So static constructor, for example, if it is allowed, constructor is static if it is allowed, at what time it will be recognized? Load time only it has to be recognized. Am I right or not? Class loading time only it has to be recognized. That point we understood or not? If it is allowed, for example. Okay, leave it. That part we can leave it. Remember this conclusion. Static related things are recognized at the time of loading the bytecode. Leave it. Now tell me, constructor is executing at what time? After loading the class bytecode or before loading the class bytecode? After loading class bytecode only, which one will constructor will be executed or not? Please remember here my points are at the time and after. These two differences I am telling there. Constructor will be executed. Constructor will be recognized at what time? After loading the class bytecode or not? Constructor will be recognized at what time? After loading the class bytecode, before executing code. Am I right or not? So almost all constructor execution is at runtime. Constructor execution is at execution time. But static keyword is at what time? Static keyword is at what time? Loading time. Static keyword is related to loading time, but construct is related to at what time? Runtime. Understand my point here? Static keyword is related to loading time. Construct is related to runtime. So now tell me, if I declare construct as a static now, at what time it has to be recognized? Think and give answer. If it is static, load time it has to be recognized. But what is the basic nature of the constructor? Runtime. Construct is related to runtime, but static keyword is related to load time. Both are at the same side or opposite sides now? Opposite. So is it this combination is possible? Is this combination is possible? No, not possible. That's why compiler is giving information clearly. Compiler knows about the situation. When we execute this, this will happen. So compiler knows about this one. That's why compiler is giving clearly static keyword is not allowed inside the constructor. If you declare something as static, it is related to loading time. But if you declare constructor, that constructor must be related to runtime. So both are completely opposite. So this type of combination is not possible. That's why compiler is very clearly saying that static keyword is not allowed at a constructor syntax. Sir, somewhat difficult, but I tried to manage the content here. If you know already Java, then it is very simple to understand. Even if you are new for Java, my statements are very clear. Static keyword is related to loading time. Construct is related to runtime. So both are opposite. Both are not at the same side. That's why we are getting like what now? Compilation error. If I declare final, some other reason is available. If I declare native, some other reason is available. If I declare volatile, some other reason is available. For static only, I given this reason. Of course, static, final, native, abstract, all the things are not going to be allowed. For example, one more example I'm telling there. Now tell me, abstract is allowed or not allowed? Why it is not allowed? Simple point. Whenever we declare something as an abstract, no, that body should not be available. Your body is what? This is body. If you declare some method as a abstract, no, that body must not be available for that. But for constructor, body is required or not? For the constructor, body is mandatory. But for abstract, body is not required. Body must not be available. But for the constructor, body must be available. Both are opposite or same side now? Opposite. That's why it is not allowed. So for each and every keyword, separate reason is available. But some of the reasons here I'm telling there clearly. So finally, the access modifiers like static, the access modifiers like static, native, final, these things are not allowed for the constructor. Is that point is clear or not? Okay, fine. Leave it. Then after that, after completion of this one, what is the another conclusion I said to you? Constructors are allowing the access modifiers like public and default. By default, it is a default scope only. Now to think about it, public is allowed. But which things are not allowed? Private and protected are not allowed. Okay, my question is what? What is my question? If I declare a constructor as a private, what will happen? If I declare a constructor as a private, then what will happen? Now tell me, sir, private members are having scope up to the respective class or not? Private members are having scope up to the respective class. So now tell me, this constructor will have scope up to this employee class or not? Tell me, sir, this constructor will have scope up to this employee class or not? But where we are calling this constructor? In outside of the employee class, we are calling this constructor or not? In outside of the employee class, we are calling this constructor or not? Think about it now. So when we declare a constructor as a private, now we have to call that constructor within the same class. Not possible to access it in outside of the respective class. Because of that reason, I said private is not possible. Because of this reason only I said private is why? Because in general in Java application development, when we declare a class, its object will not be created within the same class. Maximum cases we are going to create the respective class objects in some other classes. So scope of that constructor must be available to some other class or not. Answer my point here. So because of that reason I said this particular point. Otherwise what will happen? If the constructor is private now, to get its object we'll go for some different design patterns. Number of design patterns are available to provide solution for this particular one, but different design patterns are available. What design patterns are available here now? I think so maybe like factory method design pattern we are going to use. By using factory method design pattern, even though construct is a private now, we can get its object in outside. That we'll discuss at some other time. But anyway, at present we are going to get error. Why? Because we are calling it in outside of the respective class. Shall all of you observe this clearly? We are getting what? Read this error no. My point is very clear. The employee constructor has private access in employee. That's it. That is the reason why here only we are getting error. New keyword. Why we are getting new keyword? Who is calling this constructor? Who is calling this constructor? New keyword is calling constructor. That's why at new keyword only it is showing error message. Okay, leave this one. In the same way, if I provide protected, for example, protected scope is available to the test class or not available to test class? Not available. That's why here we are getting like what now? Error we are getting here. 1 minute. No error. Okay. Executed. Let me check this point here. I think so in the latest versions might be we are getting this kind of possibility. But the point is what? These two constructs are, these two access modifiers are not allowed. Public and default are allowed. I had it and I checked it previously. I think so maybe in the latest versions might be we are getting it, but let me check it now. I'll give that information. Don't worry for that. This point is a pending point for us. But anyway, maximum wanted I cleared it. Okay, leave this one. Okay, sir. Now after that, okay, these are the basic syntax related points I'm telling you. That's okay, fine. Leave this content. Then after that, how many types of constructors are available in Java? Types of constructors. Basic introduction part I completed. What is constructor? How these constructors are available? Okay, that's okay. But types of constructors I'm asking there. Any idea how many types of constructors are available? How many types of constructors are available in Java? Any idea? Two types of constructors are available. Am I right or not? Two types of constructors are existed. Tell me guys, what are the two types of constructors here? Yes, what are the two types of constructors? First one is what? First one is what? Zero argument constructor, default constructor. Okay, default constructor. Please recognize this point. Default constructor. Okay, fine. And second one is what? After this default constructor, next one is what? User defined constructor. User defined constructor. User defined constructor. That's okay, fine. Two types of constructors are existed here. First one is like what? No, default constructor, and second one is like what? No, user defined constructor. Okay, fine. Default constructor is having only one type. What is this type actually? Listen carefully. The type is what? Zero argument constructor. What is this constructor? Zero argument constructor. That's fine. User defined constructors are having again two types. User defined constructors are having again two types. What are the two types of user defined constructors here? First one is what? Zero argument constructor. As this zero argument constructor. And second one is like what now? Parameterized constructors. Parameterized constructor. Okay. Parameterized constructor. Zero argument constructor. And second one is what? Parameterized constructor. Tell me how many types of constructors are available? Two types. What are the two types now? Default constructor, and second one is what? User defined constructor. Okay. Default constructors are again divided into how many types now? What is the type now? Zero argument constructor. User defined constructors are divided into how many types now? Two types. What are the two types can now? Zero argument constructor, and second one is like what now? Parameterized constructor. I'm going to give one conclusion. Please remember this. From this diagram itself, I'm giving conclusion. Every default constructor is a zero argument constructor, but every zero argument constructor is not a default constructor, may not be default constructor. Most of the people are thinking zero argument construct in the sense they are saying default construct only. No. All default constructors are zero argument constructors, but all zero argument constructors need not be default constructors. Some zero argument constructors are default constructors. Some other zero argument constructors are user defined constructors. Please remember this point. Most of the people are saying zero argument constructor is a default constructor. No, it's the wrong statement. All default constructors are zero argument constructors, but all zero argument constructors need not be default constructors. Some constructors, some zero argument constructors may be default constructors. Some zero argument constructors may be user defined constructors. The difference here we have to do. Sir, now tell me, what is default constructor? What is user defined constructor? When zero argument constructor is default constructor, when zero argument constructor is user defined constructor, I want to know that. Listen carefully. I'm giving one statement to all of you. Please recognize this. Not required to write anything, sir. Keep that in your mind. Just it is a matter of 1.5 hour class. 1.5 hour content. If you are not unable to remember, how it is possible to complete our projects and projects in our companies? Just I'm saying don't by heart the concept. I'm saying to you, try to remember the concept. Just after this class, whenever you are in bus or whenever you are walking, have a look on the starting point of the class. I'm talking all these points step by step, step by step. That link if you identify, easily we can frame the total content. Even you can explain the same content to somebody else in outside. Okay, anyway, listen carefully. Now, default constructor here I'm telling there, please recognize this statement. Simple statement. Everybody has to put more concentration. Default constructor is the constructor which is provided by JVM or compiler, which is provided by compiler. Condition: when we are not providing any constructor explicitly. Come on. Default constructor is a zero argument constructor which is provided by compiler when we are not providing any constructor explicitly. The compiler provided zero argument constructor. Compiler provided zero argument constructor is called as what? Default constructor. Compiler provided constructor is called as what? Default constructor. Obviously, compiler will provide zero argument constructor only. Compiler will not provide any parameterized constructor. Then immediately may ask one question, sir, I have a doubt. In somewhere else I read JVM is providing default constructor, not by compiler, but you are saying compiler. Do you have any proof? Yes, I have a proof. Shall we go for that proof? Yes. Now let's see this one. All of you put more concentration. How many classes can I have taken? One class I have taken, right? Listen carefully, all of you know. Okay. Now tell me, inside my class test, how many items I have written, sir? Now tell me. Think and give answer. How many items I have written? Inside this class test, I variable, constructor. This is constructor. Parameters constructor I have written. Listen carefully. Constructor. This is what? Method. And this is what? Main method. Overall, inside the class test, 1, 2, 3, 4 items are available or not? Okay, sir. All of you listen carefully. Forget everything up to now. Java C test.java. Just I'm compiling this program or not? Just I'm compiling this program. Just I compiled this program, not executed. Compiled it. If you want to list out the members of a particular class, if you want to list out the members of a particular class, we have a command in Java. That is what? Java P. P stands for profiler. Java profiler. Then class name. So inside the test class, which members are available, that members will be listed out. Just members are listed out. Curly braces will not come. Just members are listed out. What I declared inside this class test I. Next one is what? Constructor. Am I right or not? Constructor. Next one is what? M1 method. Next one is what? Main method. Their prototypes are provided or not? Their information is provided or not? Which command I have used now? Which command I have used now? Java P command I have used to show the members of a particular class. Which command we have to use? Java P command. Very nice. Now listen carefully. Listen carefully. What I have written, sir? Class test. Inside this class test, what I have written? I have written anything? Even constructor I have written anything? I have not written anything. Class test, no memory is available. Explicitly no memory is available. Am I right or not? Listen carefully. Listen carefully. Java C space test.java. What I am doing? Compilation I am doing or not? Compiled successfully. Have I executed or not executed? Not execute. Just compiled. Just compiled my program. Compiled in the sense compiled or not? If I use a Java command, that is execution, if you are done, JVM will come into the picture. Now just like compiled, is there any chance for JVM to come into the picture now? Is there any chance for JVM to come into the picture now? No, no JVM, only compiler. Nothing I have written inside this class test. Java P space test. Observe carefully. Java P space test. What you are getting? What is this? Test the same as class name or not? Same as class name. So what is this now? Constructor or not? Constructor. Have I written any constructor in my class test? I have not written. But here constructor is coming or not? Now tell me, who has provided that constructor? Is it compiler JVM? Compiler has provided constructor. Answer my point here now. So the compiler has given a constructor. Which constructor is zero argument constructor? Parameters constructor. No argument constructor in the sense zero argument constructor. No argument constructor in the zero argument constructor. Who has provided this constructor? Compiler. So this constructor is called as what? Default constructor. This constructor is what? Default constructor. So point is, if you write any class, constructor is mandatory. In Java, if you want to write a class, inside this class, what is mandatory? Constructor is mandatory. Whether developer is creating object or not creating object, optional. But what is mandatory? Constructor is mandatory. But unfortunately, what developers are doing, in some situations, developers are remembered that they are writing constructor. In some other situation, developers are not remembered that they are not writing constructor. Once constructor is mandatory, if developer is not writing constructor, definitely error will come or not. Getting error chances are more or not. That's why what Java has done there. Arey Baba, you are not remembering this point every time, no? Okay, even though we are not providing constructor, don't worry, my compiler will provide one constructor, as constructor is mandatory inside the class. That Java programming language is giving support for the developer. Actually, it is mandatory. As per your responsibility, you have to write that. But unfortunately, whenever we are not thinking about object for a class, we are not writing the constructor. So unnecessarily, it is giving error. Number of times this error will come. So we want to provide a solution. What is the solution? What is the help to the developer from programming language? Even though if you are not providing that, don't worry for that. As per your requirement, we can write the code. My compiler will add the required constructor. That's why Java has given this flexibility for the developer. If you are not providing any constructor, compiler will provide one constructor. What is that constructor? Default constructor. The default constructor is especially what? Zero argument constructor. Understood? At what time? What is the reason why this default constructor is coming there? Right? Right, sir. Next one is, what is user-defined constructor? How can you define user-defined constructor? The name itself is giving clarity. What is user-defined constructor? Our defined constructor, developer defined constructor. If you write something like what no test here, now tell me, sir, this is zero argument constructor or not? Is it a default constructor or user defined constructor? I've written this constructor not by compiler. Remember one point in the default constructor statement. I given one point now. Default constructor is a zero argument constructor which could be provided by compiler, not by user, not by developer, must be provided by compiler. The compiler provided zero argument constructor is a default constructor. Now here, who has provided this constructor? Developer has provided, user has provided this constructor. So this constructor is what? This constructor is what? Default constructor, user defined constructor. User defined constructor. That's why I made one statement previously. All default constructors are zero argument constructors. But all zero argument constructors need not be default constructor. This is zero argument constructor or not? Zero argument constructor. But who has provided that? User. So this is come under default or user defined? User defined. But zero argument constructor only. But this is under user defined constructor. Compiler has given zero argument constructor previously. That is what now? Default constructor. One more point we have to remember this. Default constructor is a zero argument constructor that must be provided by compiler when that is provided by compiler, when we are not to define any constructor in the class. When we have not defined any constructor inside the class, then compiler will provide a default constructor. Am I right or not? If I provide any constructor explicitly, then compiler will not provide default constructor. Already shown that proof also, you are not recognized that point. Just say for example, this is what no zero argument constructor, but user defined constructor. I'm trying to compile it now. Observe this clearly. Java C space test.java compiled successfully. Java P space test. What we are getting, sir? Same constructor or not? That is user defined or default? User defined, not default, user defined. Why? Because in my program I have written this. Okay, for our clarity, this is what, sir? Parameterized constructor. If compile is providing now, two constructors must be available or not? Still, if compile is providing default, two constructors must be available or not? But here now let us check this. How many constructors are coming there now? Let me compile this. Java C space test.java. Okay, Java P space test. Now tell me, how many constructors we are getting? Only one constructor. Which constructor we are getting? User defined constructor. Any chance to get default constructor? Have we got any default constructor by compiler? No, no default constructor. That means what is the condition here? If we provide any constructor explicitly, then compiler will not provide default constructor. Answer my point here. So when we are not providing any constructor in a class, then only compiler will add default constructor. If we provide at least one constructor in our class now, compiler will not provide default constructor. This is a conclusion clear? Yes, all of you are following or not? Yes. Right. Next, one more point I am telling you. Now observe carefully. One simple point, sir. Now tell me, I'm asking one question there. How many constructors are available in class test? How many constructors are available now? I'm asking how many constructors I have written. I'm asking you how many constructors are available there. One constructor. Of course, if we compile it, one constructor will come. If we compile this one constructor will come. Am I right or not? Okay, sir. Now observe carefully. Default constructor. Just observe scope of the default constructor. Just observe carefully. I'm going to compile it. Java C space test.java. Java space test. Sorry, Java P space test. Observe carefully. What is the scope of the default constructor? Do you have any scope here? No scope is specified. Okay, fine. Observe carefully. One small point here I'm telling there. I'm declaring my class as what? Public. I declare my class as what? Public. Okay. Now observe carefully. Default constructor I have not written. I'm unable to write. Compiler has to provide that. So let me check the same thing here. Now Java C space test.java compiled successfully. What next one here? Java P space test. Observe carefully. Scope of the default constructor. What we are getting? Public. Where is that public actually? For class public I declare immediately default constructor scope is also be public. For a class, for the class I have not provided any scope. That means default scope I provided. Automatically construct is also be. Which is scope? Construct is also be default scope. Construct is also be default scope. Observe carefully. Okay, fine. So here the conclusion is what? Default constructor scope must be same scope of the respective class. Default constructor scope and the respective class scope must be same. Now tell me. Now here the conclusion will come. Is there any chance to declare a class as private? Is it possible to declare any class as private? I said to previously conclusion, public and default are allowed for classes. Private and protected are not allowed for classes. Unfortunately, that point I said for constructors actually no. All access modifiers are allowed for constructors. Okay. Public and default are allowed for classes. Protected and private are not allowed for classes. Am I right or not? Now let me check it. Modifier private not allowed here. Not specifier. Modifier private not allowed here. Okay. Next one is what? No. Protected. Protected are allowed or not allowed? Again we can check it. No, not allowed. We will get compilation error. Okay. Public is allowed or not allowed? Public is allowed or not allowed? Just we checked it, sir. Public is allowed already, right? Public is allowed, and what is allowed? The default is also allowed. Am I right or not? So now tell me, what are the possible scopes of our default constructor? Default constructor is the following the same scope of the respective class. So what scopes are allowed for classes? No, the same scopes are allowed for default constructor. What scopes are not allowed for classes? No, the same scopes are not allowed for what? Default constructor. Now tell me, possible scopes for default constructor? Public and default. Which scopes are not allowed for default constructor? Private and protected. Concept is very, very simple. With this level, we can go for certification also. Some certification also we can write. If you know this much of concepts, no, then you can write some certification. Easily we will get 98 to 100%. So that's why these many concepts here we require. Learning subject is normal way is okay. Definition. What is constructor? Then one program, finish it. If you do that, only programming level awareness we are able to get. But internals, if you want to get, this much of analysis is required. Okay, anyway, now let's continue the remaining part. Yeah, so this is about like what a default constructor. I record final statements about default constructor. Conclusions about default constructor. Now tell me, what conclusions here we understood? Default constructor is a constructor, zero argument constructor provided by compiler when we are not providing any constructor in the respective class. If you provide at least one constructor in the respective class, compiler will not provide default constructor. That is point. Next one, default constructors will have the same scope of the respective class. Classes are allowing only public and default. So public and default are allowed for default constructors. Protected and private are not allowed for the classes. So private and protected are not allowed for default constructors. Next, one more point. All default constructors are zero argument constructors, but all zero argument constructors need not be default constructors. Some zero argument constructors which are provided by the compiler are default constructors. Some other zero argument constructors which are provided by the developers are not default constructors. They are what? User defined constructors. Yes, sir. Got my point or not? Okay, fine. Next one. After that, user defined constructors. Now tell me, what exactly the meaning of user defined constructor? Tell me, sir. The name itself is giving clarity. We are all completed semester exams, right? Semester exams we completed, right? How we are writing semester exams, sir? There is a question. Write short notes on protocol. What you are writing? Protocol is a set of rules and regulations. It can be used to transfer the data from one computer to another computer over the network. That is one para. 2-line space you are leaving. Next one is what? No. If you want to provide communication between two computers, we need a set of rules and regulations. That's why we need to use protocol. Again, one para, 2 lines of space. Now, next statement is what? Let's say computer A and computer B. Computer A wants to talk with computer B and computer B wants to talk with computer A. So we need some set of rules and regulations. So we require what? Protocol. Again, 2 lines of space. Now, next, what you are writing again? No. Need to diagram. Computer A, computer B. One line, one arrow. This line, another arrow. In between the dotted lines, protocol. Finally, everything 2 pages of space data we are reading, but every time we are writing called as protocol only. Similarly, what is user defined constructor? User defined constructor. User defined constructor is a constructor which is defined by the user only. Why you are feeling difficult while giving statements? No? Simple statements. Okay. User in the sense, who are that user? Not and a customer. Developer. Developer is as what? No, user. Developer is a user here. So developer defined constructors are what? User defined constructors. That's okay. For developers, what possibilities are available to define the constructors? Two possibilities. Without parameters, and second one is what? Parameters. Without parameters and with parameters. Without parameters is called as what? Without parameters are defined by user, not by compiler. So that construct is what? Zero argument construct. If I define parameter, then that construct is what? Parameter construct. Is there any possibility to have a default construct as a parameters constructor? Is there any chance to provide parameters construct as a default constructor? No, not at all. Parameterized constructors are always what? You have to define constructors, but zero argument constructs are what? Maybe default or maybe you have to define constructors. Points are very clear. Answer my point again. Okay, fine. But my question is, in general, in which situations we have to use zero argument constructor? In which situation we have to use parameterizer constructor? That is the question. In which situations we have to use zero argument constructor? In which situations we have to use parameterizer constructor? Simple. Is very, very simple. Most of the people are getting confused on this, but simple. I'll give the reasons exactly. Right, sir. Observe carefully. First of all, I'm giving clarity. I'll take one program. So that I'll explain to you what is the requirement to go for constructors. Also, I'll explain to you. But before, okay, let me take this point here. I want to take a class A account. I'll have listen carefully. Through a requirement, I'm explaining this topic. No, exactly. Now understand it clearly. Whenever I take an account, sir, immediately what I required, account details I required or not? When I declare account, no, account details I required or not? What I required, no, account number, string account number, including numbers and letters also. I'm going to include that in general. Okay, account number. Next one is account holder name. Am I right or not? That's enough. Next one is what? No, string account type or not? Required or not? Okay. Some int balance. Sufficient. I'm not going to take too many parameters. Simple parameters I have taken here. Okay, fine. Now, okay, to provide initial values inside this account, no, I need to take a method or not? That means I need to take a method. Through that method, I'm going to provide data for these variables. Am I right or not? Let me take a method first of all. Don't be panic. I will give topic by topic, concept by concept. Try to understand. At the end, we can understand what is the need of the constructor. Okay, public. Observe carefully. Public void. What next one can know? Set account data. What is this method I have taken? Set account data. A static data I want to provide. Directly data. I want hard coded data I want to provide. Account number is equal to ABC 1 2 3. Account holder name is equal to, say for example, Durga. And account type is equal to savings, for example. Savings. Okay, fine. Next one is balance is equal to minimum balance might be something else like what? No, 10,000. Leave it. ICICI Bank, if you go there, 10,000 or 12,000, something else is available. Fine. Okay. Then after that, I want to check account data is available or not. I have to display that account details or not. If I want to check account data is exists or not, I want to display that account details. To display that account details, I will go for a method, separate method. Public void get account details method or display account details, whatever it may be. Okay. Now inside this, just I want to display the data in a template. System.out.println of account details. System.out.println of online space. Next one is system.out.println of right. So now here I want to provide like what? No, account number plus ACCNO. Same variable, same class level variable. That's why I'm using directly without using any reference variable. Next one is account holder name. Account holder name plus ACC holder name. Next one is system.out.println of account type. Next one is like what now? Account type that we provided. Next one is like what now? Plus ACC type. That's fine. Next one is like what now? What next one here? Account balance. Just these details only here I want to take. Plus a balance. That's okay. Good. So this is my account class where I declared some variables. By taking set account data method, I assign the data. By using get account details method, I'm trying to get the data. Okay, fine. This is only supporting class. This is business class. This is not main class where main method is not available. I have to write separately main class. Where is that main class? Test class. Where what I required? What I required? Main method is required or not? Main method is required. Now inside this, if you want to access anything of a particular class, if you want to access anything of a particular class, we must create object for the respective class. Am I right or not? We must create object for the respective class. Okay. Now here I have to create object for employee class or not? I have to create object for account class. After that we have to access set account data. Then after for checking purpose we have to call like what now? Get account data. Okay, fine. Now let me check this one. Now here I have to create object for account class. Account ACC is equal to new account. Now tell me here we are calling constructor or not? We are calling constructor or not? Which constructor we are executing? Which constructor we are executing? Have I provided any constructor in class? Have I provided any constructor in class? So who will provide constructor? Who will provide constructor? Compiler will provide constructor. Which constructor? Default constructor. That's the point here I'm telling there. Whenever we are creating object like this, now here we are calling a constructor. If constructor is not available in account class explicitly, definitely default constructor is available. The default constructor is executed. Right. Next one is like what now? I have to call which method? I need to set data or not? Okay. So now here what we have to do? ACC dot set account data. I think so. That method name is what? Set account data. Okay. Now here get account data method here I want to write similarity purpose. Okay, now okay, but through this we are setting account data. Now what next one here now? ACC dot get account data. Simple program only. I'm not writing any rocket science program. Very simple program. Account class I have taken, two methods I have taken. I created object for account class and I access both the methods. That's it. Now if I execute this program, what output here we are able to get? If I execute this program, what outputs here we are able to get? Compiled successfully, just account details here we are able to get. Internally I will show that points, don't worry for that. Okay, now it is account details, account number, account holder name, account type and balance. Everything here we are getting. That's okay. This is my program. Now I want to show internal concept, put more concentration. I will say internal concept, put more concentration. What is that internal concept here I'm telling there? All of you observe carefully. Program and as well as this one, both I'm going to say at a time. Now tell me, sir, how many classes I have written inside this Java file? How many classes I have written? Account is one class, another one is what? Test class. Out of these two, which class is main class? Always JVM will come to which class? As the first one, JVM will come to test class. So directly JVM will execute which method? Main method. Inside this, which statement will execute as the first statement? Account to ACC is equal to new. New keyword will be executed or not? By the execution of new keyword, what will happen? By the execution of new keyword, object will be created or not? To which class object will be created? To which class object will be created? Account class object will be created. Let's create object. Inside this object, how many members are available? 4 members are available. Understand carefully. So first of all, object will be created. This is an object. This is an object. Am I right or not? Inside this object, how many members are available? 4 members are available. Can I tell me what are the 4 members now? First of all, account number. Some block of memory will be assigned. How much is a block of memory? Later we will discuss about it. Not required now. Block of memory will be created. Am I right or not? Next one is what? Account holder name. Account holder name. There also be a block of memory. Next one is what now? Account type. Next one is what now? Balance. Okay. Observe carefully. Here blocks of memory will be assigned inside this object. Okay. Put more concentration. Total internal content I'm talking now. Next one is the balance. Observe carefully. When this memory is created, automatically a reference value will be created. That reference value will be assigned to a variable. That variable is called as what? A reference variable. So who is referring this object now? Object is referred by a variable. That variable is called as what? A reference variable. Now ACC is not object. ACC is what? A reference variable. ACC is a reference variable for account object. Okay, this is happened. Then after that, which constructor has been executed there? Which constructor has been executed? Default constructor. So have you provided initialization for the data? No, we have not provided initialization for the data through constructors. So whenever we are not providing initialization through constructor, automatically default values will be stored. Automatically which values will be stored now? Default values will be stored. Now tell me, account number string data. String data, what is the default value? Null. Account holder name string. So what's the value? Null. Account type is a string. So what's the value here now? Null. Balance is an integer data. What's the value? Now tell me, just we executed only which one there? Just we executed only account ACC is equal to new account. We executed this. By the execution of the statement, this much of internal content was happened. Now I'm asking one question there. Now tell me, account object is created or not created? Account object has been created or not? Created. Object is created. Remember this point here. In general, in programming languages, what I'm telling, you're all students. You're representing a group or not? Student is representing a group or not? And there is a category. That category is called as a class. So your class is what? Student. Category name. Group name is what? Class. Out of all of you, each and every individual person is an object. You are a student. You are a student. You are a student. You are an object. But your category is a class. But you are an object. That's the difference between class and an object. Class is a group of elements with a single identity. But object is an individual element among the group of elements. You are students, it is a category. But among you, each and every individual person is an object. Getting my point or not? Okay. Here account is a class. But individual account is nothing but what? An object. My account is an object. Your account is a separate object. But group is same account. Account is a class. Individual is nothing but what? No object. Listen carefully. Now tell me, here the point is what? In our Java application, this writing class is nothing but, writing account is nothing but just preparing a plan. When we create an object, physically an object is created. Whenever we are creating an object in program, it reflects to in a bank, account is created physically. Hdfc bank or ICICI bank, whatever it may be, where we applied for account creation, account is created. It means that object is created for your account. Get my point? Account class object I'm creating in the sense in the bank account is created. Understand my similarities? I'm mapping both the concepts now. Programming and reality, both I'm mapping now. In Java program, whenever we are creating account class object, it means that in the bank account has been created. Okay, listen carefully. Account object is created. It means that in the bank account is created or not? Created. Listen carefully. Created. After creating this account, at the time of creating account, data is stored or not? Whenever account is created, data is stored or not? Which data is stored now? Tell me. Null values, zeros, and default values are stored. Am I right or not? But you are saying account is created. Account is created with a null value. Account is created with account ID is what now? Account number is what? Null. Is there any chance for any bank to create an account with a null as an identity? Is there any chance to create an account in any bank with the identity as null value? No, no bank is allowing null is an account number. Am I right or not? So, okay. This approach is wrong approach or right approach? Wrong approach. But in this program, when we are providing account details, no, whenever we are calling acc dot set account to data, when we call this, then only account details are provided. That means what is the meaning of it now? Previously null value is available. In place of null, now we are getting ABC 1, 2, 3. In place of null, we are getting something else ABC. In place of null, we are getting some savings. In place of 0, we are getting 10,000. Am I right or not? Now tell me. Now ABC 1, 2, 3. Second data. This is second data. Am I right or not? Say so something else like Durga. Next one is like what? No savings. Now get 10,000. Now I'm asking now. Now tell me. Now account data was provided or not? Listen here. Now account data was provided or not? Now tell me. Inside the object, really we provided account data as a first data or as a second data? Think and give the answer. What is the first data here inside this object? Null values now. But second data is what now? ABC 1 to 3 our actual data. Our actual data second data. That means we provided account details inside the object as a first data or as second data? As second data. As second data. But account details must be provided as a first data or not? In a bank's account data must be provided as a first data or not? Tell me, sir. I'm asking to know. If you go for any bank, whenever we are creating account now, what is happen? Whenever your account is created, your name should be the first data for the account name variable. Or else, already one account is available. Already somebody else account is available where I'm updating my data with that account. Is it possible? Now here, what happened? We provided our data as a first data or second data? Second data. But account details must be provided as which data? First data. But unfortunately we have not provided first data. We provide second data. We are providing second data in the sense updation we are doing updations only. We are not doing as a first data. We are not initializing the data. We are doing updation. Already data is available where we are modifying that. Understand here only. If we catch this small point now, there we can understand the importance of constructor. So here we provided our data as a second data, but our requirement is what? We have to provide our data as a first data. Why we are providing this data as second data? Now tell me. Whenever we are calling this method, when we call this method, then only the data is provided as second data. Understand my point here? But when the null values are provided, at what time that null values are provided? By the execution of the default constructor only null values are provided. But my requirement is what? In place of null values, I want to provide my own data. In place of null values, I want to provide my own data. That's my requirement. In place of null values, if you want to provide everyone data, in the sense, we have to write constructor or not? Who has provided that null values? No. Constructor has provided null values or not? Answer my point. By the execution of default constructor only internally, null values are provided. After calling method only, our data is provided. But my requirement is what? In place of null values, I want to provide my own data. In place of null values, I want to provide my own data. As a first data, I want to provide. So only constructors are having capability to initialize the object. Only who is having capability to provide as a first data? Constructor is having capability to provide initial data inside the object. So we have to write constructor or not? To make your data as a first data, we have to write constructor or not? All right. Now that I'm trying to do now, observe carefully. Here what I'm trying to do now, instead of writing this method, where I want to provide like what now? Sorry, what I want to provide there? Account. I provided constructor or not? Sir, okay. Let me go for it now. Set a account data I provided, sir. For example, now I am going to execute this program. This program will be executed successfully. Now, what happened? Environment method declaration. I think so. Void. Okay. Fine. Now, this program will be executed anyway. Don't worry for that. Okay. For example, in this program, if I have not called this method, sir, account is created or not? Account is created. But with which data account is created now? Null values. That's the point here I'm trying to say. Answer my point here now. The account is created, but null is it possible in any bank? No, not possible. So what I have to do now? Our data must be provided as a first data. If you want to provide our data as a first data, then what we have to do? We should not provide that initialization through a method. We have to provide that initialized data through constructor. So here what we have to take now? Public account here. If we take now, not required to call this method, we can release this total statement here. Now observe carefully. Java C space test.java. Compiled successfully. Java space test. Now tell me, our data is the first data or not? Our provided data is the first data or second data? First data, not a second data. Answer my point here. So that is the importance of the constructor. In the banks, whenever we are creating an account, our data should be the first data. Our data should be provided while creating object only. So here also be while creating object, if we want to keep any data inside the object, we have to use what now? Constructor. If you want to keep your data as a first data, then we have to use what now? Constructor. Especially banks, no, while creating account, this must be happened. So here we have to use constructor while creating account object. The same thing is reflection is what now? In any bank, no, while creating our account only, our data will be stored. That's it, as a first data. Okay, good. Okay, sir. Right. Now tell me. I'm asking one more question. This entire thing is okay. I'm asking one more question. Try to answer for it. All of you listen carefully. How many accounts I created, sir? How many accounts I created? 2 accounts I created in the bank. Am I right or not? Right. Nice. Now tell me how many accounts I created now. How many accounts I created? 2 accounts I created. I want to write some system outed println for our clarity purpose. Don't get boring, sir. Almost all we are coming to the ending point. Let us check this point here. Now tell me how many accounts we created here. Sysnot out dot println. Okay, fine. Now tell me how many accounts here we created. Third account here we are creating now. Okay, fine. First of all, give clarity for me. Multiple accounts are available in any bank. Thousands of lakhs of customers are available. All these customers are having different data or same data. At least account number must be varied or not. Account name may be, account holder name, account type may be same or may not be same, but account number must be different. Must be different. Why? Because identity for the accounts. Am I right or not? Okay, now tell me in this program how many accounts I created? 3 accounts I created. Let us check this. Account data is same or different. Let us check this clearly. Account data is same or different. Let us check this clearly in this program up to now. Java C space test.java. Compiled successfully. Java space test. Same data or different data? Don't check all the data. Only account number we have to check at least. Account number is same or different? Same, but data must be different or not? So definitely some problem is available here. What is the problem here now? We created 3 account objects now. In all 3 account objects we called constructor. Am I right or not? Same constructor, different constructor. Inside this constructor, what we have done, data we hard coded data A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 1. Even 1000 objects we created. In every object, same data will be stored as initial data or not? That means all multiple accounts are having same data. Is it possible in any bank? No, it is not possible here. Whenever we are creating multiple accounts, no, definitely that account number at least must be varied here. But same data here we provided. So here the problem is what? In all objects, same data was stored. Why? Because in the constructor data is hard coded. But my requirement is what? While creating object, I don't want to hard code the data. I want to provide my own data. While creating account object, I want to provide my own data. Initial data must be provided through constructor. But to that constructor also, I don't want to supply the hard coded data, fixed data. While executing constructor, I want to provide my own data. I want to say to the constructor, don't initialize your data. I'm providing data, take it and initialize the data. At the time of creating first object, I'm going to specify my own data. At the time of creating second object, I'm going to specify different data. At the time of creating third object, I want to specify different data. That means every time calling of constructor, data must be same or different. Data must be different in the sense that data we have to supply or not. If you want to supply any data to the method or to the constructor, there we have to use parameters. If you want to supply your own data to the method or to the constructor, there we have to use what? Parameters we have to use. If you want to provide fixed data in all the objects, no, zero argument constructor we can take. Am I right or not? If you want to provide fixed data in all the objects, no, we can go for zero argument constructor. But if you want to provide variable data, different types of data, if you want to provide in all the objects, no, there we have to use what? No, constructor. Which constructor? parameterized constructor here we have to use. Am I right or not? First of all, I'm migrating from method to constructor. Now I'm migrating from zero argument constructor to parameterized constructor. Fixed data in all the objects, zero argument constructor. Different data in all the objects, parameterized constructor. Now let me check it now. What I'm going to do there. Now here I will go for string account number one, some variable, some other. Okay. Or same also I can use. If I use same, this keyword I have to use separate. But I don't like to go for this keyword as of now. Comma. Then what next one? You know, string account holder name one. And next one is what now? String account type one. And then what next one here? Int balance one. And then what we have to do in place of this data, I have to assign that parameter variable or not. In place of data, I have to assign parameter variable or not. So here what I have to do now? Account number one. Then what next one here now? Account holder one. Account holder name one. Okay, next one is what? In place of savings, what I have to provide there? Account type one. What next one again? No, balance one. Okay, remember this, only class level variables data will be stored inside the object. Local variables, that means parameter variables data will not be stored inside the objects. Remember this point. That's why, okay, fine. First we are assigning data to the parameters. That parameters data we transfer to class level variables. That class level variables data will be stored inside the object. Okay, fine. Now whenever we provide it, now tell me which constructor we provided, sir? Parameterized or zero argument constructor? Parameterized. So we have to call that constructor while creating object or not? And now tell me here, three objects I created. Which constructor we are calling? Zero argument constructor we are calling. But which constructor we have to call? Parameterized. Parameterized constructor we are calling in the sense we have to pass parameters data or not? That is your own data. In first object, which data we want to serve, that we have to pass. Say for example, in the first object I want to provide A111. Next one is, say for example, A. Next one is for example savings. Okay, savings. Next one is of course I want to provide like what, no, 10,000, something else. Okay, fine. Next one is what second one here? No, here also we zero argument constructor we are calling, but we provided there parameters a constructor. So what we have to provide there? A222 account 222 comma. Next one is BBB, and next one is like something else like what, no, savings. Next one is something else like what, no, 10,000. That's fine. Next one is like what, no, what next one again? A333 something else, some data here, CCC. Okay, fine. Next one is like what, no, current, for example, current account. Next one is what, no, 10,000. 10,000. Okay, fine. That I provided. Leave it. Okay, fine. Then after completion of this, after providing this data, now I want to execute this program. Compiled successfully. Execute it. Then here what we are getting, same data or different data? Different data we are getting. Our achievement, our requirement is achieved or not? Our requirement is achieved or not? So this is a requirement to go for like what, no? Parameterized constructors. If you want to provide fixed data in all the objects, which constructor? Zero argument constructor. If you want to provide different data in all the objects, parameterized constructor here we have to use. Got my point or not? One more question I'm asking now. Tell me, what is method overloading? Function overloading, method overloading, what it may be? What is it? Providing more than one method with a different parameter list, different method signatures, different method prototypes. It's called as method overloading or not? Similarly, if you provide more than one constructor with the same name, with a different parameter, if you declare more than one constructor with the same name with a different parameter list, then it is called as what, no? Constructor overloading. Conclusion, simple definition, not more than that. If you declare more than one constructor with the same name, obviously same name, constructor name should be same as class name, same name, with the different parameters, then it is called as what, no? Constructor overloading. Different examples are available, not required here. So this is overall view, the total view of what, no? Constructors. Okay, what's the time now? 11 exactly. 11:24. That's sufficient today. Next weekend definitely I'll go for some other topic, maybe either this keyword or maybe static keyword. Either of the things I will take. Through that I will explain to you. But I think you are given your data here, right? Your mobile numbers and email. If you are not given, just try to give your details to your office now. Next weekend, next Sunday, similarly I'm going to conduct one more class on either of these, this keyword or static keyword. Definitely more deeply I'm going to be covered. Try to attend for this class. Not only you, the next weekend maybe bigger classroom I will take. There you can call your friends also. Even your classmates are, it's an open class for everybody. You can call your friends also, then they can understand the content what I'm discussing there. I hope you are understanding my concepts clearly. You are satisfied with this topic, no? Think of it. And in the next month, the first week, I'm going to start new Java batches, full stack Java development. I'm going to take classes like CoreJava, Advanced Java, up to web services, and HTML, CSS, and all, almost all, full stack Java. All the concepts I'm going to take. Then I'm going to start that full stack Java development next month, the first week. If any of you are interested, we can come for it. Anyway, next Sunday, planning for this another class, there another workshop. Within 1 or 2 days, it will be confirmed there. We can come. Along with you, you can call your friends also, Max. Right? Thank you. That's all. That's all for today. Maybe we'll meet on next month, next Sunday. Thank you. Guys, and those who are attending in online, the job guarantee definitely, sir. Then you'll get it maximum. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to start a new classes there the next month, the first week max. You can wait for it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys. Thanks a lot. We'll meet on next Sunday. Probably the same link you can use in the next Sunday. Also, same link you can use in online classes. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot.